In today's chess video, we are going to look at two amazing chess puzzles, and here's the first one. Black has a queen and 3 pawns, whereas white has only 1 queen. But still, it is white who can actually win this game. So it is white to move, and you need to find the winning continuation. And if you haven't yet figured out, the black pawns are moving downwards. Alright, you can pause the video here if you want to give it a try. Okay, I guess you must have figured out the first move by now, and that is queen f4 check. The idea is simple. We want to keep the king trapped on this side of the board so that he cannot escape. Now, since the king cannot move, he will have to block with the queen. And here comes the trickiest part of this puzzle. I suggest you think over this long and hard because it's not that easy. Obviously, you cannot exchange because then black just wins it easily. Now here, the queen is under attack, so you must move it. Now, if you're thinking of queen f2 check, then the black king can run away like this. And if queen f6 check, he can just continue blocking and it's difficult to make progress. So that means giving a check in this position is not the right move. That's why you'll have to drop the idea of giving checks and instead focus on moving the queen to a good square. You might say, Jeetendra, let's move it here so that we can at least pick up this pawn on the next move. But the problem is that as soon as your queen moves away, black can start giving you checks and then eventually this king will escape. Therefore, in this position, you need to find such a square for the queen from where you can prevent black from giving any checks and at the same time also keep an eye on his king so that he cannot run away. So keeping all this in mind, can you now find a good square for this queen? Well, the best move is queen to e3. If you found this, I must say you're a very strong player. Now look, white is still controlling all these squares so the king cannot escape. And also, this black queen cannot give you any checks because all these squares are covered. Let's say, for example, if he plays queen h3 check, then he just loses the queen. So basically, he just cannot move his queen anywhere because of this queen g3 mate. Even if he goes here, this is also a checkmate. Therefore, he will have to move one of these 2 pawns. If he moves the g pawn, then we have a mate in 2 moves, just like this. So pawn g5 is obviously a blunder. So he has no option but to move this pawn. b6 or b5 doesn't really matter because in any case, we'll play the same sequence of moves. Can you find the idea? Well, we'll start with queen e7 check. g5 is a disaster for black as we saw earlier, therefore he must block with the queen. Then you'll give a check in the same way, forcing the queen to block again. And as we saw earlier, we'll slide our queen back to e3. We've reached the very same position, but did you notice there is one big difference? It is now black's turn. So basically, we just played a waiting move or a sequence of moves passing the turn back to black. So he will again have to move this pawn only because he has no other option. Again, the same idea, we repeat the same process. First a check, then queen blocks, again check, queen g4, and we come back to e3. It's black to move. Again, he pushes forward. Queen e7 check, queen g5, and now you might be wondering if we simply allow this pawn to advance, it will easily promote to a queen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Instead of giving a check this way, we'll now eliminate the pawn and give a check via b4. Blocking with the queen is the only option, and now we fall back to the same tactical idea. Queen e7 check, blocks, then queen e4 check, again he blocks, and then queen back to e3. Now it is black's turn, and since we've eliminated the b pawn, he's left with no good option. The king can't move, this pawn can't move, and if he moves the queen and gives a check, then either it will be taken for free like this, or if he steps away, then we have a checkmate like this. Or even if he goes to g5, we have a beautiful mate like this. And in this position, even if he moves the pawn, we attack the king, and ultimately, that's also a checkmate since the king is trapped. What a beautiful idea. Alright, now let's look at another interesting chess problem. But before that, I would like to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Guys, you must be wondering why I took such a long break from making videos. Well, I was going through some crisis and I realized that my mental health is being affected. That's when I thought of BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service and it's 100% online. When you're feeling low and your everyday life is being affected, it is very important to take the help of an expert. Well, BetterHelp has over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, just answer a few questions about your feelings and preferences, and BetterHelp will match you to a suitable professional therapist. You can connect with your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions over text, phone, or video calls, however you're comfortable. And if required, you can even change your therapist at no additional charge. That makes BetterHelp so much more convenient and affordable than traditional offline therapy. So basically, BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life right now. All you need to do is sign up with this link, betterhelp.com/chesstalk, that's better, HELP, and you'll get 10% off on your first month. Link is in the description box below, so go and check it out. Alright, now let's look at another interesting chess problem. As you can see, we have all the 16 pawns on the board, and black is clearly leading because he has 2 rooks and a bishop, whereas white has only 2 bishops. On first sight, this looks like an easy win for black. Even at a depth of 20, the engine suggests that black is clearly winning. But there is a way by which white can draw this game. Can you find it? So it is white's turn, and if you want, you can pause the video here to figure out the best continuation for a draw. Alright, now some of you might think that since this bishop is trapped, it's better to exchange. But that takes us nowhere because black will easily break open this pawn chain by taking any of these pawns, and then it's game over for white. Okay, let me give you a hint. Your main plan should be to somehow lock this position up so that black is stuck on this side of the board so that he cannot break through. But how do you do that? If you move any of these pawns, let's say d5 for example, then black simply takes the bishop first, and then he can capture any of these pawns to launch an attack on the white king. Going back, even if you give a check with this pawn, he can simply take it and march towards your king. And here, even if you try to check with the bishop like this, he can simply block it with c4. So what do you play here? How do you start? Well, the best move for white is, surprise surprise, bishop a4 check. You might say, Jeetendra, we have only one active bishop and you're sacrificing that as well. What are you doing? Let me explain. From here, black has 2 options. He can either capture the bishop or he can decide not to take and instead move the king to c4. First, let's look at the obvious response. If he takes the bishop, we have a brilliant idea in which the pawns can move one after another, giving a check, forcing the king to move, and this way we'll completely close out the game. Let me show you how. First, b3 check. King has only 1 square to go. Then c4 check. Again, he has only this square because this diagonal is covered by the bishop. Another check. The king goes up further. And now what? Well, just move the pawn and give him another check. We don't care about the bishop, let him take it. So after king captures, we play f5, and now we have created this unbreakable fortress. All his pieces are stuck on this side of the board and our king is happily enjoying on the other side. There is just no way he can break through. Since all of black's pawns are on dark squares, this dark squared bishop is useless. So just keep moving your king, and even if he offers you a rook, don't be greedy, don't take, just ignore it. Keep moving your king and this game is a dead draw. Now going back, in this position, let's see what happens if after this check, white does not take the bishop and instead he moves the king to c4. It's clear that you'll have to give a check. If b3 check, you simply lose this pawn, therefore we'll give a check with the bishop. King b5 is the only legal move, and here you can push c4 check. King c6 is forced, and now we won't just settle for a draw because we can actually win this with bishop a4 check. The king is trapped, therefore the rook jumps in. We capture it to fork the king and the other rook. He can run wherever he wants because in any case, we'll just take this rook. By the way, he cannot just take our bishop because then this pawn becomes unstoppable and it can promote to a queen. Eventually, we can pick up the bishop and easily win this game. Therefore, the best option for black is to go for a draw as we saw in the earlier variation. Alright, now I have one more puzzle, but this is for you to solve. It's become quite popular in recent times and you might have seen it as well. But anyway, in this position, it is white's turn and you need to find the mate in 2 moves. Remember, only 2 moves. Share your answers in the comments. Let's see how many of you get this right. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one.